And it's time to get an update on the business news now. Joined here on set by Yuka Roya in the studio. Yuka, starting with a row about pay at the French supermarket chain Carrefour. This is not about the workers, though. This is about the former boss, isn't it?
Well, the French government wants Georges Plassat, who stepped down almost a year ago, to give up his entire retirement package. The €30 million payout was approved at a Carrefour shareholders meeting last Friday, but government officials say Plassat didn't leave Europe's biggest retailer in a state which merited such a generous package. Nicolas Rushworth reports.
2 out of 3 Carrefour shareholders approved Georges Plassat's €13 million payout at the company's AGM last Friday. The former Carrefour CEO stepped down almost a year ago, and while he hasn't applied for nearly €4 million he could have requested for promising not to join a competitor, the French government is saying this golden parachute is too high. It called on employers' federations to act.
The two main employers' associations, MEDEF and AFEP, have a code of good conduct, and I think they should go further. This payout does raise questions. The French Employers' Association will have a new boss in a few weeks' time, and I hope he gets the message.
The two federations said on Saturday they would revise their non-binding guidelines, which most large listed French companies currently follow. The CGT union, meanwhile, has gone on the offensive with thousands of jobs threatened at Carrefour. One union member said the payout was disproportionate.
I won't earn in one lifetime what he's getting. Just look at his annual retirement pay alone. It's €500,000, so €1 million over 2 years. I get €1,180 a month. So would I earn as much in one lifetime, or would I need a second?
Since Plassat's departure, his successor, Alexandre Bompard, has announced store closures to boost performance, while also launching an e-commerce offensive and seeking a Chinese partnership. That as retail moves increasingly online.
Nicolas Rushworth reporting there. Now, Carrefour's shares were pretty much unchanged at the open here in Paris, just slightly below the flat line, off by 0.1 of a percentage point. European markets overall opened the trading week in the red amid concerns over rising trade tensions, except in London. It was up by 0.1 of a percentage point. Now, trade tensions, as well as a major earthquake in Japan, weighed on investor sentiment in Asia. Markets in China were closed for the Dragon Boat holiday. Oil prices are going down ahead of an OPEC meeting later this week. This after Russia and Saudi Arabia suggested they would ask for a production hike. Earlier, Stephen Innes, head of trading at Owanda Asia, gave us more details.
Well, it's all this big build-up to the OPEC meeting, which is going to start Friday and continue through Saturday. There's a concern, well, it's probably more likely not concern, but a fact is that OPEC are going to ramp up production. Now, the big question is how many more barrels are they going to bring to the market? That ranges anywhere between 500 million to 1.5 million barrels a day. And that's what the markets are uncertain about, just what that supply will be. Obviously, the lower it'll be, the less impactful it will have on prices. But, Russia's been making some serious overtones that they want to push through, the higher amounts. And, if Saudi Arabia all of a sudden complies at the last minute, then oil prices will certainly drop another $5 as we move into next week.
Some more of the business headlines for you now. And Britain's economy is on track to grow at its weakest pace since 2009 this year due to Brexit uncertainties, higher oil prices and trade tensions, according to the British Chambers of Commerce. The BCC has cut its forecast to 1.3% from 1.4%. Growth in the UK was already the slowest among the G7 economies at the end of 2017. Japan's exports grew at a surprisingly fast pace in May. According to the latest data, outbound shipments rose 8.1% year-on-year, well above the forecast of 7.5%. The growth was driven by exports to Asia, but shipments to the US also picked up pace. However, imports grew at an even faster pace, pushing Japan into a $5.2 billion trade deficit for the month. The French government has threatened to slap General Electric with a €50,000 fine for every job it fails to create. The industrial giant committed to creating 1,000 new jobs by the end of this year, when it bought French group Alstom's energy business in 2015. But last week, the Finance Ministry said only about 300 jobs had been created by the end of April, with GE saying the initial target is now out of reach because of difficult market conditions. And finally from me, some people go a great length to make good wine, and that's the case of Frank Lebery, who has recently dug out the 1,200 bottles he buried in the snow in the Pyrenees back in January. He believes that the snow-covered mountain slope at 2,400 metres above sea level would be an ideal place to age his wines because of the constant low temperature, darkness and humidity. A helicopter was needed to bring the bottles back down. The winemaker says it was worth it, saying it tasted much better than he expected.
I bet. Do you think if we go next year, we'll be able to find them?
Maybe. There may be some bottles left.
He'll go to take them out, and Yuka and I would have drunk them all. Not so good. Thanks a lot.
On the ski slope.
Yuka with Business Health for us, 24. Thanks very much.